Welcome back. I'm still here with Chris Browning this week. We are talking about not only addiction, but coming back from addiction. But in case you missed in the first episode, some of the things that you might have seen Chris on, Angel Has Fallen, your new movie, Outlaw Johnny Black, right? So we're looking forward to seeing that. Green Light Healer, the Book of Eli. Oh, the Unhealer.
Yeah.
Unhealer. Book of Eli, that's coming out soon also, right?
Book of Eli?
No. The Unhealer.
The Unhealer should be out. Yeah.
Okay.
That was a thing with Natasha Henstridge and Adam Beach.
Okay. Fun.
It's kind of a supernatural
I'm going to look for it.
Yeah.
Fun. But I remember you from The 100 and Sons of Anarchy and Bosch. Those are three that I watched. So, so pay attention. Look for Chris, and you're just a great actor.
Thank you.
It was really fun seeing you on set. And I was just so.
Yeah, we did a thing. We just did it.
Yeah. I was doing the stage mom thing, so it was fun. So my daughter actually got to work with you, and that was really fun for me to see.
In Escape from Area 51.
Yeah.
You should see it.
Yeah,
I can't wait to see it.
Yeah, it's going to be fun. It's going to be fun. So we've been talking about, as I was sitting on set with you and you were talking about, I heard you say I did heroin once for 6 years and I ended up living under the 405 freeway. And I'm like sitting here watching you, and I'm, you've got this incredible career that you have now. You've been clean for 15 years. So you're living under the 405. And at what point do you decide you need to get clean? And how did you just make that decision and make it happen? That's a hard thing to do.
Well, I knew the answer was there. I knew, my mom was sober for 40 years. So I was raised by sober people, and I knew that's where the answer was. It just wasn't, I didn't seem to be on the list. I've seen it working for other people, but it was like, I don't know the secret handshake or something, because I was in and out of recovery for 12 years. It took me 12 years to get a 90-day. I couldn't stay sober for 90 days.
And did your mom know where you were?
Well, the way they kept track of me was checking with the LA County jail system.
That had to be heartbreaking.
Oh my God. Once I did get sober, I talked to my mom and dad every day for till they died after that. I can't imagine, because now I have kids, and I can't imagine not knowing where my kids are.
No, the pain would just be terrible.
Yeah, I don't.
Yeah, no, I track my daughter everywhere she goes, so I can't imagine.
That's smart, yeah.
But you got the 90 days, and then, at what point, what made it stick?
I was just thinking about that the other day, because that's a common thing that comes up when you're sometimes you tell your story and stuff, and people, or even in interviews, they say, what was the thing that what made it different? What made you stop? I never stopped trying, but it was the first time that I actually applied what was being suggested. All those years, those other 12 years, we were talking about being an egomaniac with an inferiority complex. Well, that's what it was, because I could be right off the streets, 60 pounds lighter than I am now, and asking someone, to help me get sober, and they're suggesting, well, you do this and you do this and you do this, and I would say, yeah, I don't need to do all that. He does, because he looks like he's like a landscaper or some manual labor guy. He's not as smart as I am. I'm much more involved than he is. And this is a scrawny, sucked up heroin addict off the streets, covered in abscess sores. And I know better than that guy. That's how. Do
you think that's common with a lot of the addicts?
Sure. It's not, it's the only disease out there that tells you don't have it, Yeah. But I was always pretty forthcoming with admitting that I was, so you can't live in the bushes and try to convince yourself or anybody else that you don't have a problem.
Yeah.
I was like, yeah, I'll give you that. I'm definitely an addict and an alcoholic. I don't think
I have to jump through.
Yeah, I'm going to alter whatever suggestion you come up with. I'm going to give it my special spin, because I'm so wonderful.
Right.
And I just kept getting kicked in the ass every time I tried. And I went to 20 detoxes. I went to 5 rehabs. I spent 3 years of my life locked up, and you're not. So every one of those times, I was clean, kicking heroin on a concrete floor in
That had
the
to be
LA
fun.
County Jail. Not fun.
Yeah.
Terrible.
That's how my uncle had to kick it too.
Ugh.
Yeah.
God, it's awful. But so for whatever it was, there was this guy named Gus on the streets, and I was like, if I ever find that guy, and he's probably dead, but if I ever did come across him, I would thank him for saving my life, because he was talking about it one day. There's plenty of time to talk. That's what you do, And he was 30 or so years old. It looked like he was 60. Skin and bones, alcoholic. Always had a pint of vodka in his pocket. Yellow skin, jaundiced eyes, and he was dying. And he just said, everybody's on parole. I wasn't on parole, but I was on probation, but I'd never been to prison. But he'd said, yeah, man, I'm a dope fiend. I'm a drunk. That's what I do. So they're going to catch me again, and I'm going to go back upstate on a parole violation and do 6 months or 9 months or a year. And when they let me out, I'm running. I'm not trying to pee for the man and have an address and a job and all this stuff, because I'm a dope fiend. And my thing that kept me relaxed about how serious it was telling myself that I'm just passing through. This is life experience. You can't, I'm going to write about this someday. I'm sucking the marrow out of life. This is real life. But I'm just passing through. And it occurred to me that Gus probably talked that way at one point.
Yeah.
And if I wake up tomorrow talking like Gus, I'm doomed. I'm not getting out of here. If I wake up,
there's some point where that needle shifts, and now
and you've given up.
It's too far.
And you're like, yeah, no, this is me. I'm a heroin addict. If they catch me, and when I get out, I'm going to do heroin. It's, how does that guy get out?
Right.
He doesn't. And so the people dying around me left and right every week, someone, got murdered or overdosed, and, and those are the kind of friends that you have on the streets. My best friends were the ones who were willing to wait for me to overdose before they took all my shit. Those were my good ones. Those are my buddies.
I'm going to have nightmares tonight. I'm going to have night terrors. It's crazy. It's like my worst nightmare. I thought it was bad having a heroin addict live in my house when I was little. This is terrifying.
Yeah, no, it's because that's the other thing. There's always those guys on the fringe that are that
just watching you.
You see them. They're thinking about taking it now.
Right.
And there's a couple,
and they're willing to do some nasty things to take it. Probably.
Yeah, I mean, every week it was like I felt like I was in Vietnam or something, and somebody died every week.
Crazy.
Got murdered, and
so that time it stuck. You got your 90 days.
Yeah. Well, that time, and I got hospitalized 3 days in a row in LA County Jail. 3 days in a row. And when I got out of there, because there were riots every day. And, I always talk about this, you never know what the gift is going to be.
Right.
So whenever something bad happens today, I'm like, this is good somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Don't know yet. But I learned that because I had, I got broken ribs that saved my life.
Yeah. I have 3 questions. Whenever something really awful happens, I have 3 questions that I've learned to ask myself. What can I be thankful for? What can I be grateful for? And what can I learn right now from this awful thing? There's got to be something I can be thankful for, grateful for, and I can learn.
Yeah.
So, and if you can do that, I think it really changes your perspective on life.
Yeah. Yeah. No, and I've seen that happen. I get kicked out of a place and you're like, oh, I love this place. I can't believe we have to move. And then you end up in an awesome place that you never would have found if you weren't kicked out.
In a healthier situation.
Yeah. And that's like what I'm in now. I'm living in a house with people that I care about, and I was in a terrible situation before, but now I'm in, and if that hadn't blown apart the way it did, I wouldn't be where I'm at. I had broken ribs that saved my life because of being in jail. I got in a riot and got a concussion. Woke up in the infirmary, my head all bandaged up. Then they put me back out in general population. That time, we were in the chapel, and they rocked the pews out of the floor. They were bolted to the floor, and they stood them up, and they were tossing them, like falling them like trees.
Oh my gosh!
And I was like, and crushed me. And I'm back in the infirmary now. My head's bandaged up, and I got one of those rib protector plastic belts, hard plastic things, Velcroed, and I can't breathe. Back out to the general population, and this place, the third place, was in one of the dorms. You have about 150 people in there, and they'd been there for a while, so they'd had time to make tools, make weapons. Take a piece of metal and just grind it on the concrete for a month till it's a point, and wrap bed sheet, string, what. And when that jumped off, I ended up with a guy on top of me, and a couple other gangbangers from the other gang were just shanking him. And like every other time they'd miss him and they'd hit me. And I got pierced in the arm right here, and it was an artery, and just blood started going out. And I was like, oh God, here we go again. Passed out, woke up in the infirmary, and they had a stitch in this, and the doctor said, you're lucky to be alive. And I'm like, really? He goes, no, look inside. Inside my gown, that plastic belt was so dug up with notches from those shanks. Just stuck.
So your broken ribs really did save your life.
Saved my life. Yeah.
That's a great perspective.
Yeah. So you never know what the gift is.
You never know what the gift is.
Yeah.
So I love the story, and I want to talk about, because when I met you, what I love was you were talking a lot about purpose. And we talk to our community a lot about purpose, about, people who are purposeful live 11 years longer, but they're also happier. They're much happier, especially people who have been through a lot. They, if you can find a way to turn that around and either help others, help someone less fortunate than yourself, you'll just always see the brighter side of things. And when I first met you, you were talking about, like, the thing that struck me the most. I mean, of course, I with what we do, I hear a lot of stories about addiction, about abuse, about trauma, but I don't always hear the comeback and the story of purpose that goes along with it. And that was the thing that really caught me. And that's when I started talking to you about how you need to write a book. And like your story is a book. I mean, this is a crazy story. I mean, I know everybody listening right now. And if you're listening, please, send us your questions, your comments. Love to know what you think. But this is a book. And it's here you are now, 15 years later, and you've had your ups and your downs. You've talked about that. But you keep going, and you're doing so much for other people, and you're very humble. In spite of your success, you're very humble. And it was really refreshing for me to see, because we see a lot of people, we see a lot of celebrities, and a lot of them are struggling. Not all of them are humble, but it's just a really refreshing thing. And you just talked so little about what you have and who you are versus what you were doing for other people, and I thought that was really cool. So let's come back and talk about that.
Okay.
I would love to hear that. If you're enjoying the Brain Warriors Way podcast, please don't forget to subscribe so you'll always know when there's a new episode. And while you're at it, feel free to give us a review or 5-star rating, as that helps others find the podcast.
If you're considering coming to Amen Clinics or trying some of the brain healthy supplements from BrainMD, you can use the code podcast10 to get a 10% discount on a full evaluation at amenclinics.com, or a 10% discount on all supplements at brainmdhealth.com. For more information, give us a call at 855-978-1363.